Hey, what's up guys? Seeing as I'm just about wrapped up with my second big video gig, I thought I would take this time to kind of reflect and share some of my experiences on what I learned over the past 9 months as an assistant video shooter as well as a video editor. If you guys are new to my channel, I post weekly videos following my journey as a freelance photographer and videographer. So if that's something you guys might be interested in, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. Now, when I started freelance, I primarily started off with just doing photography work, but since then I've been branching off into doing more video work, and I found that a lot of the skills that I learned from photography, such as composition and exposure, were really transferable into video. But there were a couple hiccups in terms of learning to shoot better video. Now, I didn't know absolutely nothing, but I knew kind of like the frame rate reciprocal rule, which basically means you have the reciprocal shutter speed for the frame rate you're shooting at. So if I'm shooting at 24p, then I would shoot the shutter speed in 1/48th of a second, but on most cameras that doesn't exist, so it's just 1/50th. And I also knew that it was important to prepare a shot list before arriving on site, just to be more prepared into knowing what you exactly need to get done that day. But there are particularly 5 things that stuck out to me when I started shooting video, doing more video editing as well. And that's something I wanted to share with you guys today. So the first thing is just switching between your frame rates and understanding how you can use these frame rates effectively. So you might have to determine which project format you're going to be delivering in before you even start shooting. For me, I normally deliver a file in 1080p and 24 frames per second. Some people like to work with 30 frames per second because that's the standard for TV broadcasting, but it's really based on your preference and which look you want to go for. Generally, most people like the look of 24 frames per second because it's the quote-unquote cinema standard, and the motion in it makes things look a little bit more cinematic, whereas 30 frames per second is the TV broadcast standard. And for something that you know you're not going to speed up or slow down in post, I think it's a good idea to just shoot those clips in the same setting as your timeline sequence. In addition to this, panning shots will actually look very different when you're shooting them in 24 frames per second versus 60 frames per second. And that with a faster pan, you'll notice that the motion blur in that it makes it very difficult for you to kind of pick out the subject in your shot. Whereas if you're shooting in 60p and you're slowing that footage down, you actually can shoot faster in real time and slow it down in post. Second major lesson I learned with shooting video is needing stronger video lights for higher frame rate shots. And by this I mean when you're shooting super slow motion video, in order to get a quote-unquote natural looking motion blur, people normally use the reciprocal rule to give you that natural motion blur when you're editing in post. In doing so, you actually let a lot less light into the camera sensor, meaning you're gonna have to bump up your ISO, or in video terms they call it gain, which as a result you actually get a lower image quality as your output file because you're gonna notice more noise introduced into your shot. So it's just really important to have solid lighting when you're shooting slow motion footage. Third thing I really wish I knew when I started going to more video shoots is actually to be really familiar with the gear you're going to be using on the day of the shoot. And this is in part really important because on shoot day you actually have a very limited amount of time to actually set up your equipment and get going. For most things that you're going to be shooting in video, if you miss a moment or if you miss a shot with video, it's really hard to recover from that because for example, if you're shooting an event, have a strict timeline that they're trying to follow, and if you're not ready before they need you, then you're gonna miss the shot. And in becoming more familiar with the equipment and your capabilities, it'll actually make it a lot easier to plan out your shot list because you understand what you can produce for the client. And the fourth thing I wish I knew before getting into more video work is that you actually have to move really quick when you're on site on shoot day. It helps ensure that you're able to get all the shots that you agreed upon with the client on the day that you're set out to work. And this is really crucial, not only for your sake as a freelancer to get the job done quickly and efficiently. This is especially important because no one likes their time to be wasted, and it's important for you to kind of show that you value everyone's time that's working within this operation. Can you just imagine if you agree to work on a specific day with a client and that client's probably really busy and they only have a certain amount of time they can give you to work on this project with them, and you agree upon a certain shot list that you talk through with them and explain what you need to get, and you're not able to deliver that. As a result, you're actually going to have to barter with the client in requiring more time to capture the shots that you guys agreed upon. And if you actually miss out on some of those shots, then you might even have to do some sort of refund for the client. And the fifth and last thing is to just plan to take a diverse set of shots. So when you're doing all the post-production and the video editing, you have more clips than you actually need, and you have that choice of selecting a more optimal clip for the story you're trying to tell in the video. So different types of shots include establishing shots, which are normally a more wide shot and allows you to kind of introduce the setting to the viewer. As well, you can also get some detail shots just to show exactly what's happening in the production you're shooting. Atmospheric shots just to show the ambience of the space. I don't think I can count how many times where I'm editing a video and I just wish that this video is shot a different way, or I had an extra clip that actually showcased a different angle or a different perspective of a specific subject. And it just makes video editing so much easier when you have that choice and selection. Now, a lot of these skills and just like developing the sense of knowing how to work with video, it actually just happens through practicing and editing and practicing and editing, and you just pick off things as you go. But if you're going to be charging someone, you have to be confident enough in the work you're able to deliver to the client. You better make sure that you're able to produce the product that'll match the value your client's paying for. A good way to practice this is to just do some projects for free, but holding yourself to the standard of a working professional. If this free project is going to be an experience and portfolio builder, just make sure that you're doing this free project on your own terms and that it actually is going to benefit you for your portfolio. Anyways, if you guys like this video, feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below. I would love to hear about your guys' thoughts and comments on what it was like to produce your first video and what are some things that you guys learned from that experience. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week's video. Bye.